Hey, hello everybody, Mark here, Chasing Trains. Hey, I'm in Ely, Nevada for a very special occasion. Behind me is Locomotive 81. The Nevada Northern Railway has gone and completely rebuilt her for service. She was retired in 1958, and after 63 years, she's back on the rails.
Locomotive number 81 was delivered to the Nevada Northern in April of 1917. Her purpose was to haul ore from the mines at Ruth to the smelter located at McGill. Number 81 and sister engine 93 were donated to the White Pine Public Museum in 1960 for display. This was thought to be the end of their operating careers. In 1990, the railroad reacquired the locomotives with hopes of returning them back to service. Here we see both locomotives on display at the White Pine Museum.
This is the cab of 81. She's down for the rebuild just like 93 is.
Back in 2017, we traveled to Ely, Nevada. Fortunately for us, we met Angie, who currently is the train master as well as engineer for the Nevada Northern. She was kind enough to take us on our own personal tour in the RIP building where we met number 81 for the first time.
Okay, it looks like we're approaching, is this 81?
Yep. But here she is, completely stripped down.
Look at that.
She's even further stripped down than 93 is. The cab's off the back, you can see everything.
She's certainly got a smaller boiler than the 93. Not as robust.
Yeah, the boss has a thing, he says it's just like the Goldilocks and the Three Bears. 40's too small, 93's too big, and 81's just right.
Just right for the railroad.
That's what he says. We'll see when she gets up.
And anytime slated to get 83 back on the road.
We wanted her back on this year, but things happened.
Yeah.
So
look at that.
She's 100 years this year.
100 years old this year.
1917 built. And you can see she's completely torn down. Back in 95, 93 was in an accident. And they pulled parts off of this locomotive to fix 93. So on top of the regular wear and tear, sitting outside, we're also missing parts that were cannibalized.
The Nevada Northern is not simply a tourist railroad. It is a fully functioning short line. With a high standard of workmanship, management, and crew returned number 81 to join sister engine number 93, providing scenes from a bygone era. On the weekend of September 24, 25, and 26 of 2021, the Nevada Northern, under the watchful eye of Executive Director Mark Bassett, celebrated the return of number 81 by hosting a photographer special over the 3-day weekend.
Wait until we say to load up. And also, we have a pretty small group, but please watch yourself in the photo line. I don't know how to break this to you, Ed. People didn't travel hundreds of miles to take your picture. It's as simple as that. So, is anyone shooting video? We have a person shooting video. Okay, the difference between video and still is he doesn't want to hear your voice. So when you're out on the photo line, please quiet. And the other thing is, he likes long shots, correct?
That's right.
Yeah. And whereas these still guys, if I move it 5 feet, they're happy as a clam.
Right.
So, so we will do our best to accommodate you.
Well, that's great. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. And also,
With a small group of around 20 REL fans as guests, Mark and his crew provided train movement to the many scenic locations, offering us great shots of 81. But before we head out on the line, let's observe the engine house crew preparing number 81. The Nevada Northern welcomes visitors to roam around this facility, experiencing the vast collection of vintage equipment. Before we move on to the exciting Highline on day 3, I would like to introduce an important individual. Rebuilding 81 required a collective effort of both the Nevada Northern staff and some outside help. Please meet John Ramash.
My name is John Ramash, and I am the owner of Wasatch Railroad Contractors. And I've actually been coming here to the Nevada Northern Railroad for about 23 years. And my whole story with this particular railroad begins with the 2002 Winter Olympics. And the idea was to bring locomotive number 40 actually over to Utah, where I was working at the time at the Heber Valley Railroad, and use the number 40 for the Olympics. Well, as things turned out, we ended up bringing the 93 over to Heber and using it for the Olympics instead. Well, the 93 wasn't quite done, and so a few years before the Olympics, I had been coming over here and we worked on the 93 and got it rebuilt. It had been in its wreck, and we just kept working on it, and we got it, and we took it over to Utah for the Olympics and had a great time with it. Well, after the Olympics, Mark Bassett, the current director here at the railroad, took over, and he's been here for 22 years, 21 years, and every time I would come over for the next 21 years, every time I would leave, I'd say to Mark, we gotta do the 81. It's a beautiful engine. It's in great shape. The boiler's great. The running gear's great. Let's get the 81 done. And finally, about 3 years ago, Mark said, look, I can't have you telling me we gotta do the 81 anymore. Let's just get it done. And we started on the 81 about 3 years ago. We started on the boiler. The shop did all of the running gear work. They turned the tires, did some axle work, rebuilt all the pins and bushings and the suspension system. Me and my guys came over. We put some new rivets in the boiler, had a few repairs to make, a couple welded patches, things like that, put new tubes in it, did the ultrasound inspection. And here we are 3 years later, and the 81's right behind me, steaming up, ready to go. And I wrote to my company and a bunch of friends last night, you know, sometimes the dreams that you have may take a while to actually come to fruition, but if you just keep at it, they always get there. And this is one of those for me. This is 23 years in the making, and to actually be here this weekend with the locomotive and run it, it really is a dream come true. And I don't know that 23 years ago I would have expected it, but I'm really glad to be here now. So we hope you enjoy the 81.
Yes, the Phoenix has risen. Number 81 has rejoined her sister engines, number 40 and 93, breathing live steam, not sitting dead on a display track. Chasing Trains would like to thank our professional train crew on the return of 81's trip. Angie, our train master, Mike, our conductor, John Henry, our engineer, and fireman Lennox. And a special shout out to Executive Director Mark Bassett for providing great leadership and overseeing all that is the Nevada Northern Railway. And let's not forget John Ramash and his crew, along with the new friends I made on this special event. Thank you for watching Chasing Trains' production of the Return of Nevada Northern's Railway number 81. You can find more information on the railway following the link in the description below. You know the drill. If you enjoyed the show, hit subscribe along with that silly bell and share. Comments are always welcome. Where would you like to go chasing trains?